Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. This topic that I'm going to talk about today, it might push a few buttons, all right? However, I really encourage you to perhaps have an open mind around this because we can all get stuck in this. And I'm talking about excuses. And the excuses can sometimes be hard to spot. We can really justify them. And part of what I'm going to do in this live is I'm going to show you how to, I'll uncover why our excuses can feel so real, and it's because they feel so real that we can get caught in that loop, right? Because our brain is reinforcing them. So I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can do to shift out of that excuse mode into a more empowered decision, take charge sort of mode when it comes to, especially when it comes to your happiness. Because we all have, I think, at some point in time, in one way or another, said things like, I'll be happy when, or when I get a new job, when I have more money, when the kids leave home. There's always this future thing that we're doing, or we use time. I don't have time for it right now. I would, but I can't, because the things that come after those prefixes are really excuses. And I know that sometimes we can buy into those excuses because we have the evidence to support them. It's like, well, it's not an excuse, Helen, it is reality, and I get it. So I want to break down why we actually buy into that, okay? And it does have a lot to do with how our brain is designed, all right? Part of it is what we focus on. So you guys have heard me talk in the past about our RAS, our reticular activating system. It is all tied in with the law, the universal laws. So what we focus on is what our brain it kind of filters out. So we get more of that coming into our life. So we have this evidence to back up our excuses. So if we're always saying things like, I don't have time, your RAS and the law of attraction and even the law of perception, it's causing you to see the world in through that filter. And because that's the filter you're looking through, your RAS is going, right, well, that's what they're focused on. I need to provide evidence to support that. I need to show her more of that because that's what she's focused on, right? So, and as well as that, our brain is designed to protect us. And one way it does that is by justifying why we should stay in our comfort zone. Okay? Because it will move us towards pleasure and away from pain. And sometimes it's the lesser of two pains. So if there's something that you want to do and the thought of doing that is a little bit scary, maybe there's some fear around it, but the staying where you are, even though you're not quite happy, there's less fear there. So your brain, your unconscious mind, everything sort of conspires to move you away from that bigger fear, because doing that thing is scary. What if I get rejected? What if I get judged? What if I get criticized? That's really scary, doing that other thing. So staying where I am, even though I'm not particularly happy or I don't particularly like it, it is less scary. Okay, so that's why we get trapped in our comfort zone. And then we create stories that justify it. We create stories that really then perpetuate our stuckness, okay? And then they become so ingrained that we say things like, well, it's just the way it is. It's always been like that. It feels like that is our truth, okay, not our choice. Sorry, let me just turn this little follower down. Okay, so these stories become our truth, okay, because we have all of this evidence to support them. And then we get into that hole, well, like, now there's nothing I can do about it. It's just sort of stuck in that cycle, and we can feel like we don't have any choices. So that's kind of how it all happens, all right? So the more we tell these stories, the more we're going to stay in that loop. And then you've heard the saying, perception is reality. So the law of perception only allows us to see things a certain way. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. Okay, so if we believe something is out of reach, whether it's happiness or anything else, we will always find proof of that. All right, now the good news is, though, we can change that. You can change your perception, and you've heard quotes around that as well, because your perception is simply based on your beliefs, your memories, your experiences. And what has happened in the past doesn't have to determine what happens in the future. All right. And if you are allowing your past to dictate your future, that is another form of an excuse. Okay. And I'm sorry if that's very hard for people to hear. However, when you really do hear that and you understand that you can change your reality by changing your perception, by not listening to the excuses anymore, it's an incredibly empowering place to be. So what I want to do now is go through a little exercise with you that is going to help you transition, okay? So what I want you guys to do is write down 3 of the most common excuses that you use for why happiness feels hard to achieve, okay? I can't be happy because, even if you just start with that, if you're not really sure what you say, because sometimes we are walking around very unconscious, we're very unaware. All right. So even if you want to start, if you're stuck on this, I can't be happy because I would be happy, but. Okay. And then just see what rolls off your tongue. This isn't something that you have to think about a lot. Just let it come out. And when it does, don't judge it. All right. It is what it is, because when you start to judge it or when you start to justify it, then you're going to talk yourself out of it being an excuse and you're going to stay in that little loop. All right. So just start with 3. You can do more if you want. You can start with 1. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Just start is the big thing I want you to take away from this. So once you have that excuse, all right, I'm just going to use the time one because that's quite common. And it's the one I can think of right now. So if you have, I don't have time for happiness, maybe that's an excuse that you have. Then ask yourself, is this a fact or is it a belief? Now, this is where it can get tricky, because you can say to me, well, it's a fact because I do not have time. So I want you now to look outside of yourself, because every single person on this planet has equal time. We all have 24 hours in a day, okay? Now, this is where I want you to ask yourself, is it possible that there is at least one person on this planet who has a different belief? And anyone who is happy has a different belief around that. I don't have time for happiness, okay? So all you need to do here, you don't have to take it any further than that if you don't want to. This is about taking those small steps, because like I said in the beginning, this can be quite a confronting sort of exercise to do, because our excuses do protect us to a degree. So ask yourself, is this a fact or is it a belief? Now, if there is at least one person out there who has the complete opposite belief, that they believe they do have time to be happy because they are happy, what that means is it's possible. Okay, and that's all we want right now. We want to know that it is possible. So if it's possible for one person, it's possible for 2, for 3, for 4, for 5. It's possible for you, because you are people as well. It's like back in the oh gosh, I don't even know what year it is, but there was a guy called Roger Bannister. So a long time ago, nobody could run a mile in under 4 minutes. It was impossible, right? And so Roger comes along and he does it. He runs a mile in under 4 minutes. And from that moment, everyone's perception changed. It's like, oh, it's gone from being impossible to being possible. Okay, it's And that's all people needed. And after that, a whole bunch of people started running the mile in under 4 minutes. So this is where it's really so interesting to look at these beliefs that we have and just ask yourself, is it possible that there is at least one person who has the opposite belief? And if it is, that is good news. And then you get to choose. Okay, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. What do I need to do to be able to do that? All right. So we're writing down our excuses. We're asking ourselves, is it a fact or is it a belief? Is this belief, even if you do have a lot of evidence, is this serving me? Is this making my life better or worse? Okay, because then you can change it. And then you want to reframe the excuse into a possibility. So, for example, I don't have time for happiness. You could possibly reframe that, because sometimes it can be too much of a jump to say, I don't have time to, I do have time. It could be that's too big a jump. So if it is, you could maybe say something like, I create small moments of joy every day, or I feel happy for small amounts of time every single day. Okay, because then that's something that you can build on. Is that making sense? So this is where you're going to start to break that cycle. So the law of cause and effect, it tells us that every single small shift creates a ripple. So everything we do creates a ripple. It's either going to be a positive ripple or a negative ripple, okay? But there is a ripple in every single thing that we do. So if you start to prioritize your happiness, even in small ways, even if it's just saying to yourself, I do feel happy from time to time. There are moments where I do feel happy. Then that is where you're shifting your focus. So the law of polarity is coming in. Instead of focusing on how you're not happy, you're focusing on how you are happy. It feels good. Okay, so that's fixing your vibration, raising your vibration. Then the law of attraction needs to bring you things that match that vibration to keep that good feeling, perpetuate that good feeling. All right. So this is where don't discount the small actions, because every single little action that you do, every little shift that you move towards what you want is a good thing. It's creating that ripple. And this is where it's up to you to be happy. It's not up to somebody else, just like it's not your job to make somebody else happy, because that's a lot of pressure on another person. When you can really hear that it is your choice and you get to make the choices, it is an incredibly empowering place to be, okay? So don't wait for happiness to come to you. This is where you need to find things that make you happy and prioritize those things, even if you can only do it for a small amount of time. Do it intentionally, okay? So a way that you can start to do that as well. So other than that, do that exercise, find your excuses, question them, reframe them into something that feels positive. Another thing you can do is to start a joy journal, or call it whatever you like. If you like writing, then write. If you're not big on journaling, that's okay. What it is that you just need to stop and either in the moment, when something good happens or something that makes you smile, or there's something that you just feel nice about, just acknowledge it. That's it. Now, you can do it in the moment. You can do it at the end of the day. You can reflect on your day. Now, in the beginning, if you're used to looking for what went wrong, it may take you a beat to get into it. However, the more you do this, the more you intentionally look for the things that have gone wrong, the more you're going to see it's how it works. So if you like to journal, then journal. If you don't, then just spend 5 minutes reflecting. Oh, this happened and that was really nice. Okay? And make that a habit. And you can do it in the morning, you can do it in the evening, you can do it in the middle of the day. You can do it every hour if you want. It doesn't matter. It's what matters is that you do it. All right? So you're going to be shifting your internal dialogue from I'll be happy when. So we're going to shift it from postponing it to I am happy because. All right? I'm happy because I have air conditioning. I'm happy because it's raining today and the grass is getting watered and I don't have to water it. I'm happy because the Lions won on yesterday. They won their game at the Gabba. I'm happy because I got to go to the game. I'm happy because, I don't know, it feels good to be happy. So when you start to find these things, it's going to change your vibration. It will change what you are then noticing. You will notice more things to be happy. And when you add gratitude onto that as well, what you're doing with all these little things is you're rewiring your brain to notice the positive experiences instead of focusing on what's missing. Okay, and this is how we start to break the cycle. It's awareness, and it's also taking that intentional forward paced action. All right. Okay, I hope that has made sense. If you have questions, please put them in the comments. You can reach out to me if you want anything clarified. And if you feel like it, share an excuse that you have let go of. What's something you used to tell yourself all the time? And what did you do about it? How did you change it? Because that could inspire somebody else who may be a little bit stuck. All right. Have an amazing day. I am going to leave you with a quote. I don't know who said this quote, but it's a beautiful thing. And they said, the only thing standing between you and happiness is the excuse you've convinced yourself is real. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you again on Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about money. All right, and money excuses, because we don't want them in our life either. Have an amazing day, and